A lot of people get married with the high hopes that their relationship is going to be different and better than what they saw in their parents' relationship or maybe a previous relationship they experienced. Unfortunately, somehow things just end up working out in a way where you recognize a lot of things that you maybe didn't really like in your partner or one of your parents, and you start to see that side in your partner. Today, I want to talk about what you can do to make sure that you're not recreating the same relationship that you're trying to escape, because you can do this. You don't have to be a victim of how things lay out, and that's what I want to talk about. My name is Ellie. I'm a relationship coach, and my focus is to help you remove compatibility challenges with your partner so that you can cultivate that relationship you actually want to have. If you find this video helpful, please don't forget to let me know by hitting the thumbs up button, and consider subscribing to my channel if you want to see more videos like this one. A lot of people grow up in a dynamic where maybe they didn't really see the most functional or healthy relationship between their parents. Sometimes life experiences teach us to be extra guarded or show us what we don't want in a partner or in our love match. And somehow when we're choosing our partner, we think that we're choosing better. And then we end up seeing the patterns and seeing the similarities between something we didn't want and our partner that we chose. This happens because subconsciously we're programmed from our childhood to look for someone that reminds us of someone in our family. And even though consciously you might be thinking that this person is different, there have been a lot of studies conducted to show us that we look for a person that reminds us of somebody else in our family. If you look at different philosophies or even the study of psychology, a lot of it talks about working through the things that weren't healed in our past and trying to fix them and grow in our future, and that is why we select the partners that we do. And I truly believe that we select the partner that is meant for us to help us grow, to help us develop our personality and our character through the experience of being with that person. That is why you are attracted to the person you are attracted to. I also believe in soulmate love, meaning that there's not just one person available for you and that is your only soulmate. I believe you get to choose the person that you want to live your life with, and there are multiple people that you're compatible with, but it is up to you to actually do the work and make sure that you have the best relationship possible. Make sure that you learn everything you can from that person and incorporate that in your future life. Use the experience to grow on an individual level and deepen your connection. If you're choosing someone to be committed to, I think that commitment is a very big thing that is undermined in our time and age. And people think that if the grass is greener somewhere else, that it's easy to just leave your partner and move on, do something different, pick another person and try to make that relationship work better. However, they end up in the same dynamic, just with a different person, because they didn't take the life lessons that they were supposed to out of the first relationship. They decided that it was too hard, too much work, so they just dropped it and tried to find somebody new. And that's what happens. If you look at interviews, a lot of people 10 years down the line post-divorce realize that there are a lot of things they could have done in the first marriage to make it work better. They kind of gave up too quickly. So I don't want that to be you. And I also don't want you to be sitting in your relationship hurting, feeling like you're up against a brick wall. There's nothing you can do about it. Maybe you just got unlucky in love. Even though we are programmed from childhood to kind of repeat what we saw in the relationship of our parents, because that's what feels familiar, that is what feels known, it's also your personal choice as an adult to replicate that. And you also have the right and the ability to choose better. The problem is a lot of people think that love should be enough, and if I find the right person, things will just work out and everything will be great, only to find out that that is not the case. That couldn't be further from the truth. I don't know why, but in society we think that just because we find someone that we love, things should just work out, love should lead us and whatever. There's not going to be those same problems that you saw in the past, or maybe even in movies, because a lot of us watched movies growing up, and believe it or not, all of those things program us from a very young age, and whatever programs are put into your head is what you're going to start living out and kind of bringing into your reality. Let's start by not blaming our parents, because they did their best to raise us the way that they could, and let's not forget that this is their first time adulting as well. So maybe their relationship wasn't their best work, maybe they made a lot of mistakes, maybe something happened where they didn't show their best character. I'm not saying that you should agree with whatever they did that you didn't like, but if you're going to leave a lot of unresolved feelings, if you're going to have strong, passionate feelings about something that your parent did in the relationship or how they treated, your other parent, that's not a very good sign. Something is going to come up to cause you to change that and grow in that. So if you don't want to repeat your parents' relationship, it is super important for you to let go of those strong emotions that are keeping you attached or opinionated about something that happened in the relationship. What you can do is try to counteract that by trying to see it from a different perspective. Try to see what they were thinking when this situation occurred. For example, if somebody cheated in the relationship, or if something happened where one parent was being abused by the other parent. I'm not saying that you should forgive and think that this is right, it's okay. We're literally talking about your psychology. We're talking about what's going on in your head and what's going to come up for you in the future. Your strong, passionate emotions are a sign that something is bothering you. There's a little bit of unhealed, unprocessed feelings about a situation that happened in your parents' relationship. And the stronger that you feel about something that happened between them, the more likely you are to bring that into your own reality, to work through it, because life wants you to heal and wants you to let that thing go and to have acceptance. As humans, it's really hard not to be prejudiced, not to have strong emotions about something, not to judge other people, not to have a bias. And that is what I want you to do when it comes to your parents' relationship, because if you don't, you're going to need to heal that through your own marriage, through your own experience, through your own relationship. It's better to do the inner work. It's better to just let them live their life, let them make their own choices, let their relationship be separate from you. And when your emotions are balanced, when you feel neutral towards things, when you're able to see multiple points of view, that is a really good indicator that you can choose something different for yourself instead of bringing that baggage back into your relationship. So try to forgive your parent. If you have one parent that you understand more than the other, try to forgive the one that you have the worst relationship with for yourself. Try to understand them. Try to understand what they were thinking, what they were going through during that time that something bad happened, or even now, maybe. If you're able to have a non-biased view for both parents, you're more likely to have a different relationship than what they did. And the next thing is, I don't know why people think this, but for some reason we understand that if we want to have a good career, if we want to learn a new skill, we need to learn how to do those things from someone that knows. For example, someone in that industry, from a college, from someone who already developed that skill. But then when it comes to building a happy, healthy relationship, we just assume that love is going to be enough and we are going to figure things out with our soulmate without actually having the skills needed to make and maintain a healthy relationship. That is where I come in, because I did a lot of learning. For the past 3 years, I would say, I've been learning everything I possibly could, from psychology to self-help to many other things like conflict resolutions. So I've learned a lot of things that I didn't know before this. It took me years to understand how the brain of somebody who is successful in their relationship works. This has definitely been the best decision I've made for my relationship, and I want to teach you everything that I know in the quickest time possible. If you're interested in joining my course, it is linked down below. It will help you get the fundamentals of a relationship down really quickly. And the best part is it doesn't have to take you months to do it. It can literally be completed in like 3 weeks. Here's the third thing that really helps you to not repeat the same relationship that your parents have. At first, this is going to take a lot of intentional work in order to get this down. But for example, if you see something that your partner does and you compare it to somebody, like, oh wow, this is really similar to this person, or my father, or my mother, or their father, whatever. If you start saying things like that, you're going to ruin the individuality that you see in your partner, because all you're doing is drawing the comparison yourself to the thing that you don't really like or don't really accept. You might not realize it at first, but subconsciously, you're already building walls between you by doing these comparisons. When you catch yourself thinking, oh my gosh, he just did this, it reminds me of this person, you have to counteract that by thinking things like, okay, I just thought that, How does that make me feel? How does that make me see my partner? What associations does that bring up for me? And then when you start to realize that, you can start thinking about, okay, what about them? Like if they did this or they reacted like this, what does that tell me about their personality? What does that tell me about the way that they're feeling? And try to understand why your partner did something like that without bringing other people to compare it to. I promise you, when you do this, you're not only going to be more compassionate towards your partner, you're not only going to have more love for them, there's going to be a lot of acceptance. And because you're doing that, your partner automatically starts reciprocating that, because our partner is our other half in many ways. When you guys are in a committed relationship together, you mirror each other all of the time. So the more negative things that you bring in, whether you vocalize them or not, it is going to give off that vibe in the relationship. And your partner is definitely picking up on it, even on a subconscious level, more than consciously. I also want to talk about when your partner compares you to someone that they know. Our brain is constantly looking for patterns. Our brain is always trying to solve a mystery or a puzzle. And the best way to do that is to associate you or something that you do with something that they're familiar with. And when they do that and they say that, the best thing you can do if you don't like what they're doing, which is comparing you to somebody else, is to vocalize that and bring up some questions like, why did you think that? Or how does that make sense? And if there's something that you don't like, you don't have to challenge it or get offended, resentful right there and then. You can just be curious about it and leave some room for questioning without pushing too much. The more that you do this, the more your partner will start to pick up on it and start to see that you don't see yourself as part of that. And sooner or later, they're going to individualize you more from the thing they compare you to or the person they compare you to. Your internal state, your true feelings about something is way more important than what you see happening on the outside, because it actually shows you what's in your head that isn't processed. How you feel about the thing that's happening is way more important than the thing that is actually happening. I really hope that you understand the depth of that phrase, because I'm gonna be honest with you, it completely changed my life when I realized that. So if you don't want to repeat your parents' relationship, if you don't want to bring something negative that you saw happening in theirs into yours, the first thing that you need to do is to allow them to live their life, allow them to have their own adult experience, allow them to have their own love story. And remember that the brighter your feelings are about something, the more those feelings are telling you that there's some unprocessed things that you need to work through yourself in order to not have that come into your life. Second of all, you really need to learn the fundamentals of healthy, happy relationships. You need to understand how a person who has a successful relationship thinks, skills that they have, in order to incorporate that into your life if you notice that they were missing in your parents'. Number 3, you need to start doing the work to disassociate everything that your partner does that you don't like with something that you don't like, because you're going to start identifying your partner with something you don't like, which is building a wall between you and causing a rift in your relationship. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you feel called to join this program and get started on building the healthy relationship you do want, so that you're not going through life in misery, so that you're not stuck in anxiousness, so that you're not feeling like there's nothing you can do about your relationship, it just is what it is. If you want to have unconditional love for your partner and you want the relationship to head in the way that you want it to go, if you want to feel more fulfilled in your relationship, please join the link below. And thank you so much for watching. I want to wish you all the love in your love life, and I'll see you guys in my next video.